Hello, ICW fans. It is now time for a trip down Nostalgia Avenue as I have a VHS review of my very first ICW event, which was the 1 year anniversary show, which took place back on January 25th, 2002. And, this is also my very first time ever setting foot into the Elks Lodge, not the Elks Lodge that currently houses wrestling on Queens Boulevard. The show opened up with a great singles match as representing the Dynasty, Abunai took on Lowrider, who would come through the curtain riding a bicycle. This was a very good opening matchup, and I really liked the effort when I was right then and there as the show took place. A Lowrider picked up the win as he defeated Abunai, hitting a reverse neckbreaker that Nova of ECW fame called the Spin Doctor. Next up, we saw a match between Too Cocky Kevin Matthews, accompanied by the gorgeous Valentina, as he went one-on-one with Danny DeMonto. Of course, in this matchup, Kevin did a dive to the floor. The fans were chanting, "You fucked up," but Kevin gets up and he says, "No, I didn't. I'm fine." Eventually, Danny attempted to do his splash off the top rope, but Valentina took off one of her, I don't know if it was her boot or her shoe, knocked Danny off the top rope, enabling Kevin to pick up the victory. These two men have come a long way since that very show. Up next was a triple threat tag team matchup, which saw The Solution, Papa Don and Havoc, accompanied the ring by Ecstasy, spelled with an X, as they faced the Boogie Knights, Danny Drake and Mike Tobin, accompanied the ring by Bobcat, who appeared on WWE television as one of the Godfather's ladies, and she was a very short-lived hardcore champion. And then the third tag team was the Christopher Street Connection, Mace Mendoza and Buff E, two men who acted like they were gay men from Greenwich Village. Match was pretty decent. The Boogie Knights, I forgot who from The Solution took a spike pile driver. The Boogie Knights got the win. They took the microphone and couldn't really understand what they were saying because DJ Anthony, who was playing the music at ICW and USA Pro shows, where he provided the microphones, and and you could never understand what the wrestlers were saying, or even the ring announcer sometime. And Danny Drake basically said something to Jack Sabbath and announced that they had quit ICW, said they would never come back. So then they leave the ring. Next up, in a great singles matchup, we see Damian Dragon accompanied the ring by ICW's founding father, Jack Sabbath, as Damian went one-on-one with Matt Striker, who was accompanied to the ring by ECW valet Francine. This was like one of the best matches of the night, and Striker and Damian really took it to each other. Great interaction where Sabbath eventually came into the ring, he came into the ring, Striker tagged Francine. Francine gave Sabbath a Bronco Buster. Amongst the chaos, Jack handed something to Damian, and Damian ended up spitting green mist a la the Great Kabuki / Great Muta into the face of Striker. And then Dragon gave Striker I forgot the proper name of it. I forgot the proper name of the move, but when Brian Kendrick used it, he called it Sliced Bread number 2, and Damian got the win over Matt Striker. Next up was another great singles matchup, as we saw Softcore Nick Burke, who went one-on-one with the Dynasty's Chris Devine. Great matchup here where Devine picked up the win with this full Nelson throw off the top rope, and I can't remember what he called that move or what the proper name was. Next up, we saw Mike Bell go one-on-one with the Filthy Freaking Creep, also known as Psycho Sam Dudley, who was accompanied to the ring by the Doctor, who later was Dr. Zero in USA Pro. Wait, USA Pro. The point is, this matchup wasn't much, and Creep / Sam Dudley got the win. Mike Bell was previously, in the previous year, was wrestled Perry Saturn on WWE television, and I think Saturn, I don't know if something went wrong in that matchup, and Saturn ended up doing a number on Bell to the point where Saturn was given the hilarious moppy gimmick, and eventually Bell, I forgot what year it was, but Bell eventually passed away. I forgot what year that was. I know I was at this show live, folks, by the way, and they went to intermission at that point, and I remember Francine was in the ring taking Polaroids, I believe, for like $10, but I wasn't going to pay that. I forgot who else. That would like let many wrestlers around during intermission, stopping for photos and whatnot. But the action resumes, where ICW's founding father, Jack Sabbath, comes out. He was scheduled to go one-on-one with ECW's Simon Diamond. Sabbath came to the ring to Disturbed's Down with the Sickness. Jack takes the microphone and says, since I run the company, I'm changing this around. This is not going to be a one-on-one match. This is going to be a handicap match. And then Sabbath introduces his partner, who turns out to be, of all people, the prodigy, Tom Marquez, who was a part of Simon Diamond's Circus of Misfits in the final years of ECW. And Simon comes out, he takes the microphone, and he says he was in the Bronx earlier in the day, and he was asked, who's the toughest man in the Bronx, and eventually he brings out Tony DeVito from the Baldies to make it a tag team matchup. The match was on, and eventually Damian Dragon hits the ring, and he ends up spitting green mist in Simon's face, and Damian, was it Damian? It was Damian. He takes Simon's leg down, and Jack gets on top of him for the 3 count, enabling Sabbath and Marquez to pick up the win. Up next was a 3-way matchup, which saw Red, way before everyone called him amazing, versus ECW's Nova, who later became Simon Dean in the WWE, as they challenged the all-around best Xavier for the coveted Northeastern Championship belt. Before the match started, the fans were chanting AC Slater at Xavier. I guess due to his physique and his hair, the fans felt he looked like actor Mario Lopez of Saved by the Bell. And Xavier says, "Shut up with that Slater crap," and he says, "I was supposed to wrestle Red one-on-one, but then they stick this comic book freak," referring to Nova, in the match. And then these 3 guys, it's a shame, this particular matchup that I'm mentioning right now, it is a shame that this particular match is not on YouTube anywhere for everybody to see. I mean, again, I have this show on videotape, which sucks, and, it's unfortunate VCRs are not made anymore, and I don't really have the time or the desire to convert it onto a DVD. But if you go to rvideo.com, you could order this show, which I'm sure has been converted DVD by now. Now, these 3 really had a great matchup where it was like kind of a chain reaction, where I believe someone did a sunset flip. This was a great spot. A sunset flip from the apron over the ropes. And I forgot the person taking down the sunset flip, as he was being taken out, he German suplexed Red. Of course, Red hit his, I forgot that crazy power bomb that he and Deranged are known for. I think Red called it the Code Red. Red also hit his standing shooting star press on both of them at the same time. I mean, the crowd was really on fire for this match. Eventually, the end came where Red was on Nova's shoulders. Xavier jumped off the top rope, kind of like hitting a clothesline, kind of like a doomsday device, but Nova held on to Red's legs and gave Red a reverse kryptonite crunch. And Nova pinned Red, eliminating him from the match, and the fans weren't too happy. Eventually, Xavier puts Nova down with this awesome 450 splash, and Xavier retained the Northeastern Championship. That, folks, was the match of the night. Next match, we saw tag team action as the Hit Squad, Monster Mac and Mafia, who we know today as Danny Moff, as they challenged the SAT, Jose and Joel Maximo, for the ICW Tag Team Championship. This was my first look at both tag teams, and I already knew about the Hit Squad from, they were mentioned in a few magazines, and I remember calling various hotlines at the time, hearing about them tearing up Jersey All Pro Wrestling when it was in Bayonne, New Jersey's Charity Hall. Okay, so the match was on, and I know the SAT hit their patented Spanish fly on Mac, and didn't look like it was executed that well. I know Moff had this movie called Captain Crunch, where he had the guy like in a double underhook and thing, and before he suplexed him over. Moff doesn't really do that move anymore for some reason. Eventually, Moff hit one of the Maximals with the Burning Hammer, enabling the Hit Squad to win the ICW Tag Team Championship. I mean, it was a great match, and, as time went on, both tag teams went on to more gold and more promotions. And of course, both tag teams at that very time, they were the buzz of indie wrestling at that time, as was the Amazing Red, as was someone who was in the next matchup, which was one of the two main events of the night, as the World Warrior, well, before he was a World Warrior, Low-Ki, not Thor's brother, Low-Ki, who was the buzz on the indies at the time, as he defended the ICW Championship against former ECW champion Sabu. Now, for some weird reason, Sabu came out, instead of hearing his typical ECW music, Sabu comes out to Madonna's Like a Virgin. Go ahead, insert your jokes here. Here's your chance. Go ahead, folks. Can't really remember too much about this match. I know that match is on YouTube somewhere. And the match ended in a double countout where there was no winner. They eventually brawled up to the stage, and Low-Ki attempted a key crusher on Sabu, but Sabu blocked it, and he waist-locked Low-Ki from behind, and they both went through the curtain together. Low-Ki retained the title since they were both counted out. Then it was on to the second half of the double main event of the night, which saw the Natural Born Sinners, the notorious 187 Homicide and Boogaloo. Homicide and Boogaloo, because I guess they're both into horror movies. Homicide would come out wearing a Michael Myers mask, while Boogaloo would have have the Leatherface from Texas Chainsaw Massacre movies. He'd wear that mask. They come to the ring, and out comes their opponents first, the late Balls Mahoney. I don't know if the opponent was kept a mystery for some reason, because Mahoney's in the ring. He took the microphone, and he announced to the crowd, "You want to know who my partner is?" And everybody's like, "Yeah." And then Mahoney says, "Hit my partner's music." And Metallica's Enter Sandman plays, and out came former ECW champion, the Sandman, who basically took 20 years to get to the ring and was pouring beer, and even poured beer in one of my friend's mouth that night. And that's seen on the videotape that I have. And by the way, it's the RF video version, not the one from Harrington Talents. Harrington Talents was always slow as shit getting ICW and USA Pro shows out on videotape. And the match was on, and Homicide took the microphone and claimed that Mahoney and Sandman couldn't wrestle. Sandman eventually gets the microphone, and I couldn't understand him. Again, lousy, shitty microphone provided by DJ Anthony. And I'm not knocking the DJ. I'm knocking the microphone for being horrible. So, eventually, Sandman, I do understand, he says to the Sinners, if you guys want to wrestle, get your asses up here and let's wrestle. I almost hurt my throat putting on Sandman's voice there. So they hit the ring. Sandman's in there with Homicide, and even to my shock, right then and there, because most people know Sandman as a brawler, Sandman executed an arm drag, a hip toss, even a drop kick. Wasn't the best looking one. Homicide ended up out of the ring. He takes the microphone and he yells, "Hey, you cannot wrestle!" And I think, I forgot what else happened in the match. But eventually, Mahoney pinned one of them with some kind of cradle tie-up move. And after the match, the Sinners attacked Mahoney and Sandman. Eventually, Sabu hit the ring, tried to save his ECW comrades. But then the Hit Squad and Lowrider hit the ring, and they do a number on these guys. I forgot who from the Hit Squad broke the Singapore cane over Sandman's head, and one of them hit Mahoney with his own chair, and the 3 ECW alumni were left laying in the ring, and that's how the show ended. Sadly, the next show, which was going to happen like the following month, got canceled 2 weeks before it was going to happen, so we don't know where they were going to go with that ordeal. Again, this was my very first ICW event that I attended. That was also the first time I set foot in the Elks Lodge, and ICW was the very first independent wrestling promotion that I have followed, despite the setbacks, despite canceled shows, despite shutdowns, despite returns. I won't say comebacks, returns over the years. And for those of you, whether it's YouTube or if you know, or when you see the link on social media, let me know. Or even and the ICW message board, if you dare to join. Let me know if you want more VHS/DVD reviews of ICW shows that I attended in the past. Okay, folks? I sure hope you want more of these, because even just going through the matches and the results of this particular show, I still feel like it was just like yesterday. Wow. So let me know if you want more of these, folks. And let me see. Is there something else I want to add to this? Well, let's see. Do I want to add more? Let me see. Yeah, definitely one heck of a show, and that really hooked me with independent wrestling. And I know I didn't mention at the beginning of the video, but a huge thank you to Tony Kalman, who was a big ECW lover in his day, and he wanted me to come to ECW shows when they were around, but he warned me I'd have to stand all night. So, kudos to him, because he created a monster in me in terms of independent wrestling. So, folks, once again, let me know if you want more of these VHS/DVD reviews of ICW events, because ICW, no matter what the naysayers say, no matter how many times Jack Sabbath gets bashed and buried, it's still all about the product. # let the wrestling speak.